Hey guys, it's Matt Hanham here and welcome to the Amplify Your Business podcast. Welcome. I'm just checking we're recording.
That'd be a good idea.
Welcome Dave. So I'm here with Dave Clare and I actually probably won't do the introducing, I'll let you. So I'm really excited to have you here, Dave. I'm really looking forward to this chat. But why don't we start off with a quick note? So who is Dave Clare?
Dave Clare, great question. Many people have different opinions on who Dave Clare is.
What's the ideal opinion of Dave Clare?
Oh, ask my mother; she'll give you the best one to that. Dave Clare is the proud father of three, world's luckiest husband apparently, and. I'm very, very proud dad. My greatest accomplishments in life. And then outside of that, Dave Clare is a self-proclaimed prophet for purpose, and that is a PROPHET prophet, not the dollars, although that's important. You know what? I'm a guy who really believes in and loves purpose, especially in a business context. And, once again, I think for me, something I discovered over many years that who Dave Clare is somebody who gets jazzed up about helping people understand why they do what they do, especially in the business context. So
awesome.
I've been doing leadership for before you were born, probably, Matt. Yes. So just a guy who loves purpose, loves how people understand why, and his greatest accomplishments are his family.
Yeah, fantastic. So I'm going to dig a little bit deeper into that,
sure
and I think we.
I don't want to give you all the good. No. Let you dig for some of the
I
gold.
love it because I always flip it back to my guest, and they're like, "Oh, I have to work this out. Yeah. Who am I?" Sometimes people actually can really struggle to get that initial line out on who they are. So
know thyself.
I knew you would. I knew you would have it nailed. So. Yeah, so digging deep. So you do a lot of things, but really your area is leadership at this point, and you do a lot of leadership coaching and that type of thing with organisations. You're an author. The book to be coming out very shortly. We hope
this quarter.
This quarter. So we'll probably talk about that a little bit more. And obviously a lot of experience on the way through. Where did it all sort of start? So what does Dave Clare moving into the workforce and getting going look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. I guess if I go back in time, for me, I was brought up in a family. You look at your parents and conditioning and stuff. Family where my dad's belief, and my dad's like a phenomenal work ethic and stuff like that. Now retired, but probably works more now than he did when he was, which is quite impressive. But brought up in where get a safe job, get a secure job. Work your thing, work your way up the corporate ladder, and then enjoy life, and have a great retirement. It was kind of the mindset that I was brought up in. It's a
pretty common theme, at that time.
Absolutely.
Right?
Go to school, find a great person to get married, buy the car, buy the house, work in a great job, build your career, and so that was kind of the conditioning influence that I'd received growing up. And for me, I just followed that. So I kind of think of myself as a slow learner. It took me a while to work this shit out. Well, can I swear on the show?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, just checking. Too late now. And so and I had many years in career in banking and finance. So please don't hold that against me. But I did. I went down the path after school, got the secure job in banking, and what I was fortunate enough in my early career is somebody noticed something in me, and I think this is really important because sometimes we don't see it in ourselves. It takes somebody else outside of us to notice something. Yeah. And I had my very first leader, John McGinnis. He saw something in me, and whether I was a people person or whatever, but I had the potential for what he thought was leadership. And so he put me on this journey, started me on this journey or this path, doing a lot of personal development. Because really up to then I hadn't done anything, wouldn't read a book, didn't do anything. And so in my career, I was fortunate enough to have someone notice something in me, willing to invest time in me, and to help me see a bigger picture. And through that, certainly climbed the corporate ladder and did all those things. But then I got to a stage where, early in my career, I was 13, so it was 13 years at the bank. So I would have been 31, 32. Oprah Winfrey talks about that whisper and in the back, and this whisper was in there, like, you need to go test yourself, because I was very comfortable. Yeah. And that was one of the challenges of being in the climate of the corporate. I could do pretty much any role they put me in. I was very comfortable. And then this voice was telling me, Dave, life's not about being comfortable. You need to challenge yourself. So I took an opportunity to move to Papua New Guinea and become a leadership development consultant for another bank. So it was sort of a little bit. It was certainly a big risk, but still in an industry that I understood. But they wanted me then to go there and help take the management of the Papua New Guinea Banking Corporation at the time out of the 60s into the 90s in terms of their management philosophies.
Yeah, no doubt,
And not only doing that, but in a third world, or what they would call a developing country, which was we could do a whole podcast just on my journey in New Guinea. But it was really great. So, I'd never been to New Guinea before, didn't even bother to go check it out. Just decided, bugger it, I quit the bank, took this job, went over there, and for about 14 months, and then for various reasons, we decided to cut it short and came back, and then moved back to Canada and decided I was going to really have a crack at it on my own, and then started into my leadership business that I had in Canada for myself there. Instead of getting a job, I bought
So
a
you
franchise.
moved back to Canada. And when I say that, so when you say moved back, I mean, you left there when you were
15.
15?
Yeah, 15. Yeah.
So you decided to start a business by moving back to Canada, which is a hometown, where in Canada?
Just outside Toronto.
Okay.
So I was born just outside Toronto. And Toronto only has one T in it, not Toronto. It's Toronto.
Toronto?
Toronto.
Okay, well, I'll try and get that right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, came here in 81. Left for New Guinea in 98, came back mid-99, then went back to Canada for 10 years. But when I went back, I was going to look for a career or something there, but then decided there was an opportunity for me to get in full into leadership development with an international organization. So got a license, if you like, of that, and was there for 10 years and then came back here.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why I ask is that you effectively moved to a place that you didn't really have a support network around. I mean, I assume you had some family or
back in Canada?
Yeah, back in Canada or
Yeah,
some description.
My 2 cousins, that's all I knew.
But you effectively moved into a new country and then just started a business.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people are, concerned about starting even from where they are, and they have networks and they have something to start from, but you've really gone and jumped right in head first.
Yeah, well, actually, because my house in Australia had to sell it so I could afford to buy the license for the international organization. So not only did I go to a place where, and actually the town or the city that I moved to, Barrie, Ontario, the only person I knew there was my cousin. So both my cousins were in Canada. One lived there, and that's where we ended up settling. So I knew one person.
And this was a small family at the time, right?
Yeah, with
Yeah.
two kids. Yeah,
Yeah.
one was 3 and one was just 8 weeks old.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, and then, yeah. Well,
Was
my
that
daughter
the plan?
No, it was 2 months. We came back from New Guinea for the birth of that child for my daughter, and then decided to, after she was about 2 months old, we'd go back to Canada and check it out and look for a career. But then found this opportunity, or created the opportunity. Just saw exactly what I wanted. Said, this is what the Whispers have been all about, doing this, and so went after that. And had to sell the house so I could buy the license. Yeah. So not only did I just go into business with only knowing one person in the city that, like I say, and I had to spend $40,000 back then in 1999
On a license.
Yeah, on a license, and to go ahead. So selling that to the wife at the time was not
easy, I'm sure.
No.
Not with an 8-week-old and everything else going on. The flight would be hard enough to sell.
Yeah,
with the 8-week-old.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And then so obviously decade or so of leadership over there, working with lots of different companies, lots of different industries, I assume, and then head back to Australia.
Yeah, so I had about 5 years with the international organization, and then I, for various reasons, chose to go out on my own. Then had my own practice for a period of time, and whether it's a blessing or when life happens to you or happens for you.
Yeah.
So in this case, it probably, if in hindsight, I say it happened for me because my life now is even better than what it was then. As the global financial crisis hit, obviously, and where I was in Ontario, a lot of my clients were tier 1 automotive suppliers. And Obama reached in, pulled all the plants out of Southern Ontario, put them back into the U.S. So I'd been fortunate enough to start working with other industries and organizations in my coaching and business practice. But a big chunk of it was gone.
Yeah.
And a few other things were going on in life. I just remarried. And we said, like, well, what should we do? And then I called up my dad and said, this global financial crisis, Dad, it's crazy. And he goes, what crisis? Like, they live here in WA. So if you go back to WA in 2009, he said, it's booming. He said, why don't you come back here and do stuff here? So we then packed up the family and brought them back. So, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
And so, okay, and no job to come to, no nothing.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, same thing. I've done it before.
Bit of family around, but haven't been here for a long time.
Yeah, I did have a lot of contacts from growing up here, which was, once again, a small safety net, if you like, and then came back here.
A starting point, right?
Yeah, sold everything up and came here and said, okay, and see how we go.
Yeah, awesome. Well,
I assure you, any listeners here, like, don't be afraid to jump. You know, they talk about, jump and build the wings on the way down. You will. You know, like I've jumped twice internationally. Well, probably 3 times, New Guinea, then back to Canada, then come back to Australia. And every time I've landed on my feet.
It's a good story. I mean, I think a lot of people are very scared to jump. I mean, I'm ex-corporate, well, corporate in a way. I've worked in major accounting firms and that type of thing, and I know a lot of people that still sit in that bracket where they've elevated themselves through a few tiers to management levels. They've got families, they earn good money, they can't handle it, they hate it, but they can't get out. And they don't know how to get out or
it's what I call the trappings of success.
It is in a lot of ways and it will success in a fiscal way, sure.
That's right.
Not some of the other areas, and they long for it, but then they're trapped in the machine that they've been built and structured in. But we could probably talk about that for hours.
Yeah. So listen, I don't have all the material possessions that many people have. Yeah. But that was my choice by the decisions that I've made, and I'm very comfortable with that. But I've had the experiences that a lot of people haven't. So in the end, what are you going to take with you?
That's it.
Yeah. So not to diminish having the nice car and the homes and all those sort of things, and people can travel, and we can get into a debate about what traveling really is. Is it sitting on a beach in a 5-star, all-inclusive resort? Is that traveling, or is it seeing other parts of the world and how they work and live and and experiencing that culture at its fullest rather than just pina coladas on the beach.
Yeah, just different weather.
Yeah, and there's anything wrong with it because I don't mind that either. But it's yeah. So to me, I've traded a lot of those material things for experiences.
Well, so take me back to PNG, Papua New Guinea.
Yeah.
I mean, really curious to hear a little more about that. I mean, whether you want to bring up a story around leadership or, I mean, I assume. Yeah. And we know technology and I guess systems and that would have been very antiquated, and that's partially what you were there to do. But I still assume there's a lot of strong leadership in different areas there, and they just would go about things differently. I mean, I'd love to hear a little bit more about your experience there, maybe what you were able to take away from that, what you were able to learn. Sure, absolutely. And I mean, of all the really stories that are really entertaining, I'll go probably the least entertaining but most relevant to the question is actually day one when I landed, got pulled aside, this is a true story, pulled aside by one of the senior executives of the bank, and he said, "Dave, I know what they've hired you here to do, but let me tell you, you can't teach these people anything. 2 weeks later, if you show them something, they'll be back doing what they always did. So just do your job, have a good time, stay safe, take your money, go on your holidays, don't worry about it." I'm like, really? That's not what I'm here to do. And I took this leap of faith, never been there, all this sort of stuff. Here's my chance to help people change behavior and shift their thinking and all this really cool stuff and apply all the things that I'd learned. And I'm like, and that's the first speech I get. I'm like, this is nuts. And so it was fascinating to me to see that actually I learned what I learned the most in that probably 14 months that I was there is that everybody's born with the same gray matter. Right? We're all born biologically pretty much the same in terms of things. Had the people in New Guinea had the same educational advantages and learning and experience and stuff that we'd had over the hundreds of years as, the white man, right? No. So, but their brains function the same way ours do. They just haven't had the same conditioning and some of that is good that they didn't have the same conditioning. I'm sure it is. Yeah, because some of the times when I go out and go with them to visit in the village, they're cooking in the ground with the banana leaves and all that sort of stuff and eating the sweet potatoes out of the, cooked in the ground. It's really cool. Yeah. But these people would earn probably in a day what I was earning in 20 minutes. And they would go back to their village as kings, sit under their mango tree and enjoy the fruits of their labor and be, and we bust our asses in modern society to go and sit on a beach and sit on a mango tree. I feel like a king or a queen. They do it every day. Yeah. But they don't have this perspective or thing that, because I don't have this much, I'm not worthy. So really cool in that sense. But what I found is all the stuff I learned about human behavior, it was that exact same conditioning for the expats who were over there that was causing the national people of New Guinea not to grow because the way they'd been conditioned to think that you can't teach these people anything. Yeah, okay. So I just chose to ignore it. Yeah. And do what I knew I could do and work with the people. And, like anything, spaced repetition is the mother of all skill. This is one of the things that I learned way back when. And that if you
help people identify what success looks like and what results they'd like to have in their life and what behaviors they would need to demonstrate to get that. Then all you need to do is what thinking would drive that behavior, because how I think determines how I act. And then what it is, I work with them every day on that same thing. And, hey, if we want to achieve this, what would we be thinking? Oh, would we be thinking like this? Okay, so if we thought like that, what would we be doing? Would we do this? Okay, well, let's do that. Mm-hmm. And then every day, just with the repetition, it's like the Chinese water torture, the constant drip erodes the toughest rock. Go back to the Grand Canyon. Was that a crack in the earth? No, it was the Colorado River meandering through the desert that eventually, with erosion, everything in life. So I applied that same principle working with them. And in 14 months, the changes and the shifts that we saw were phenomenal. I was saddened to leave, but we just decided we're not going to raise another child for all the other stories I could tell you at the time. But yeah, that was the biggest learning for me about being. I learned more about human behavior in that 14 months than I did in any other time in my life. And that, there are people with different, exposure and experiences, and also culturally over many, many years. We take it for granted that because we've been, all these years and generations that we've had. This is a developing country, so their starting point is different. So if you go back to human beings, I shouldn't compare my start to your middle. But we want to compare their start to our middle.
That's right.
And that's why.
And you've got that expat community, right? And so they've come over with their own preconceived, their own experiences and beliefs, and then they're supposed to be there to help, affect change. But I'm sure the local people didn't think that they weren't capable of change. That it was just, and then that is just self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Yep.
I mean, that just keeps going until someone comes in and
absolutely
something different.
Yeah, and that's what it was like. And there's people think you can't teach them anything. So why would they bother making an effort to teach them something if they thought they were never going to learn it anyway?
Yeah.
And so I said, well, I'm not going to buy into that bullshit. I'm going to learn for myself and experience for myself. And to this day, I still have friends from the beginning, thank God to Facebook, that we can still be connected. And actually, one of my, the one guy I'm still connected with there, Henry, he sent me because the bank got bought out by another bank and there was a feature on one of the employees. And this would have been 15, 20 years after I left, at least 15 years. And there, Guillaume, there's this feature on her as an employee of this bank and credited my name in her. He said, you have to see this.
All that time later.
Yeah. And that she accredited it to the time that I spent with her back then. And to me, that's what it's all about for me. And if it was just, even if it was just that one person, I proved those dickheads wrong, that you can show people and you can help them. Because it's the same process that you and I become who we are, that they become. We're at a different starting point. That was and
had different interactions as well. So you would have really stood out, I suppose, because of the way you came in and operated differently and worked with them differently. It's obviously thereafter they've gone back to, I guess, much the same in a lot of ways. But she's taken that time and used that as her measuring stick and then started to build and grow from there. Yeah. And it's, giving you the credit, 15, 20 years later, it's incredible.
Yeah, yeah. And then to me, it certainly wasn't about that. It was more about helping her become, but to receive that acknowledgement. Yeah. And, sometimes there's another lesson in that is the people that, if you're looking for instant gratification, like at the time I would not have known that. And if I was demanding or seeking or needing that, then I wouldn't have got it. Yeah. But here it is 15 years later to go, wow, I did make a difference. Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't after instant gratification. I wasn't doing it for that reason. Yeah. But to receive it was really cool.
Yeah. So you've alluded to it. So I just have to ask.
Yeah.
There's got to be some funny stories there. So why don't we hear one?
One. Which one would be the best one? Now, do you want to know? I'll give you three choices. The baby being buried, the tactical response group in Finchhaven, or the shotguns in the back of the ute at the gas station?
Let's go with the shotguns. Hey, let's go with number 3.
Yeah, okay. So the shotgun. So we were driving to go visit a friend, and what I learned in New Guinea is I don't drive with my seatbelt on. Yeah. Because carjackings, whatever, so you need to really duck, where your seatbelt will hold you in place. Probably doesn't look good on audio, but when you try to pull forward, so you don't wear a seatbelt. So in case you have to duck and go, right, you can duck and go. Right. And you don't really drive that fast, and you need to worry about speed or anything like that. But yeah, so we were going to visit friends, and we're just coming down the main street, and there are at the bakery, all these cop cars just sitting there, looking over at the gas station. And we turn left to go past the gas station. As I turn the corner, it's the ex-wife and the son in the back, And I'm like, oh crap, there's all these guys in the back of a flatbed ute with shotguns holding up the gas station. And the police weren't doing anything about it. Right? They're just sitting there watching, like, well, I'm not getting involved. And, so I thought, duck, everybody down, gas past there, turn around the corner and get out of there really quickly. And it just like, the police were like, nah, we're not going to
worry about that.
Yeah, we're not going to worry about
I
it.
just can't be bothered. Like,
Yeah,
you're used to it, or is it?
Yeah,
just,
fear that they're going to get shot.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I'm not going to put my life at risk for that.
And is it that bad? Like, is it?
It's funny that what they call them, the rascals or the bandits, are such a bad element, but there's such a small minority. The national people of New Guinea are the most beautiful people you'll ever meet. Friendly, very caring, warm, inviting, the welcoming your home and all that sort of stuff. But just the bad element is so bad, it just makes everything else, look bad. It just, it's crazy.
It's like 15, 20 years ago, right? So have you been back since?
No.
Would you go back?
I wouldn't mind. Actually, I almost went back in September, but I had a speaking gig over in Sydney because there were a bunch of business guys doing the Kokoda Trail and fundraising thing. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go to that. But then I landed this big speaking gig over in Sydney. So I'm like, yeah. But it would fascinate me. My wife now, she has no interest in going. But for me, just purely just to see how it is. A lot of my buddies who are professional golfers, they go over there for the Lay and Moorby golf tournaments. And so... And my buddy Henry still works at the Port Moresby Airport there, so...
Right, so one day.
Yeah, I wouldn't say no.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, never say never, mate.
Yeah.
Is it on my radar in the short term? No.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So you also work with a not-for-profit. I just thought you might want to introduce that and let me know a little bit about that and what you do.
Yeah, sure. So about 5.5 years ago, I got asked by a group of business people who are running a not-for-profit organization called ATC, Apprentice and Traineeship Company, that we're looking to make some changes to bring some commercial viability to this not-for-profit organization. And it was the first group apprenticeship scheme in West Australia. Started over 30 years ago. It was 31st year for this not-for-profit, and it needed a change and stuff like that. The market was changing. It was sort of at the peak of the boom, but it was losing lots of money, and it, really helping people get apprenticeships and traineeships. There was a whole bunch of holes in the boat, and it just became complacent, as many businesses did at that time, because business was just coming in. So the systems and I don't know if you remember much of the boom time here in WA, but I find a lot of people who were some of the strategies, they were early, they were there at the right time, and they've done very well from it, which is great. But if you didn't have the systems and, I need people, just put people on, and it just spiraled out of control.
Yeah.
And so they were looking for someone to bring some commercial viability to it. And, I was looking to get back into trenches a little bit. This is, I guess, which we'll get into it shortly, I imagine, the beginning of the book was me is, here's my chance to now get back into it. Instead of coaching and leading leaders and stuff like that, to actually go and lead an organization again myself, and put money where my mouth is and show that I can make. And so they asked me if I'd come over and become the general manager or CEO of the not-for-profit and help bring some commercial viability and shift the culture. And so I thought, bugger it, I'm going to have a crack at that. And so I took it on. And because at the rate it was going, it would be lucky if it survived 2 or 3 years. And here we are, 5.5 years later, now expanding into the Perth market and so on. Still not without challenges in the current market, but we've gone from 12.5 employees down to 5, 10 cars, 10 phones, to 4 cars, 4 phones, totally, and actually producing twice the amount of results that we were getting way back when.
And expanding.
Yeah, so. And now choosing to expand the organization. Yeah. So it's been an honor to lead this organization, and part, if I'm honest with myself, a bit of a sandbox for me to practice what I preach, like I say, and stuff like that in there. I never want to be one of those who can't do teaches.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to prove the principles and philosophies and things that I believe about leadership, and put into practice myself again as a leader. And there's things that I innately have done over the years, thanks to guys like John McGuinness, that have cultivated the philosophies I have. So I've had them for years, but after then going and coaching people on it, I wanted to get back in, and it was a great opportunity to turn something around.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So I took on that, and you know what? And to be able to help young people get an apprenticeship or a traineeship and start their careers and learning journey, and make sure they're doing it in a really cool way, that they're getting the attention they deserve in a safe and everything like that environment, it's been an honor. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's really cool. What do you? I mean, I guess you're obviously mixing. You got a fair bit on right now, right?
Yeah.
You're writing a book. You're working with this ATC. You've obviously got your own clients and other things you're working with. I mean, what do you see? I guess more on the consulting side at this point, coaching side. What do you see businesses really doing wrong at the moment?
That there's still many of them are still profit driven first.
Yeah.
Right. And that with that. They treat their people like a resource. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't get out of bed in the morning and go, gee, I can't wait to make the boss rich today. Right? Or say, like, I feel like a usable commodity. If you won't do it, I'll find somebody else to do it. Unfortunately, still a lot of that prevalent in business today. Now, there's a lot of great examples of awesome businesses that aren't treating their people like that.
Yeah.
But a lot of the ones that, that you see and you hear about and you read about, and even the ones I've gone into, I'm like, it is so simple to work on actually caring and giving a shit about your people and not treating them as a resource. And no offense to human resource as a title, but these are people who have dreams, goals, and aspirations. And if you help them fulfill those, they'll help you get whatever the heck you want.
So how does
So I see a lot of that. Unfortunately, the cycle is backwards.
It is backwards, but how do you? Most people, very rarely, even someone you consider a bad person is really typically out there trying to hurt someone or do something bad or wrong. Many leaders of businesses are not necessarily out there looking for exploitation, but they've just it's a habit of sorts, and it's they're focused on the profit entirely. Yep. How do you start to make a shift in an organisation? So what is it that how do you start to open their eyes and get someone or a group of a management team aware? And how do they start to make change into an organisation, which I assume would provide there would be a bit of a rubber band effect too, because if they started to do a few nicer things, for example, for their people, the people might be a little bit like, what's going on here? Like, why are you talking to me today?
Yeah. Why are you being nice to me?
Yeah. So how do you get someone to I guess, have the awareness and start, and then start to make some change within their organisation?
Yeah, and that's a great question, and it's like kind of like how long is a piece of string? But if you look at human behaviour, people will take action to gain a benefit or avoid a loss. Unfortunately, most of us wait till the loss becomes very imminent before we'll take real serious action. So until business really starts to struggle, and then sometimes it's too late, before they realize it, or and it's really fascinating. I think I know Gary Vee talks a lot about it himself, but we're in a really, really cool time right now. I think uncertainty is one of the biggest game changers, for organizations today, because nobody has a clue anymore.
No.
What we've realized is none of us have a bloody clue what the hell is going to happen. So here's our chance to make stuff happen. You can't predict the future, but you can create your future. Therefore, the best way to predict it is to create what it is that you want, right? But then be willing to take the action to do so. So with businesses, it's hard. You got to get them to take. And what I work with organizations on is saying, most people have a business model. I help you take your business model and flip it into a model business, which can have multiple business models, because a business model has a shelf life. The problem is most people don't realize their business model is past its expiry date.
There's a lot of businesses still running with with leaded petrol.
Yeah, well, yeah. And if you look at even some of the biggest businesses in the world today, like Toys R Us filing for bankruptcy in the U.S., because they hung on to the business model. Kodak, classic example. Their business model was about making money from producing film. They lost sight, actually, what their business was about was creating Kodak moments. Right now, they process film. That's what, Simon Sinek talks about the why and the how and the what. So that's, how and what they do. The how and what can change all the time. But once you start losing sight of why you do what you do, and if you think it's just about making money, then all you have is a business model. And every business model has a shelf life. Because the world is changing, technology, people's needs, the generations are shifting. So if for any business out there, how do you help them? Take a look at your business model. And the one question I always ask business leaders, and you can ask yourself this, Matt, is in 5 years from now, is the business model you have today do you think it will be viable in 5 years from now? And if you put your hand on your heart and go 100% yes, carry on. But if you think there's a slight doubt that, maybe not, then you better start thinking today about what the new business model should be for your business.
You're right. Look,
because otherwise you're too late. You're already too late.
Last year, in a lot of ways, and almost ripped the pieces apart and packed it back together again over the last 12 months, and now find myself in a strange space where we're almost, we're not quite doing and delivering what the market isn't ready to do at this point, which is good, which is a good problem.
Yep.
But I looked at that and I was in that exact frame of mind, and I was like, 5 years on, we can't be doing exactly what we're doing now. It's not going to work. We were too heavy on staff. We had a lot of other staff in terms of how and what we were delivering. We weren't nimble enough because the technology is changing out of control. I mean, I had a conversation yesterday with someone who's an accountant, and they were talking about what we do with marketing, and they said, so when you guys obviously get a lot of regular training and that type of thing, and I was like, training? From who? From where?
Yeah.
It changes that fast.
Yeah.
There's a lot of gurus out there, but the speed of it, and that's where, I use marketing because that's what we do, but also that's one of the fundamental changes in all business at the moment, is the way everything's becoming, like the innovation has got to this point where it's moving so fast, yet so many businesses are still playing in a very old school environment, and it doesn't necessarily take much more than a couple of degrees of adjustment to sort of move themselves to a cutting edge business, but they just won't. They fear the change.
Yeah.
So how do they get past the change?
Okay, so, well, it's a simple shift from form to function.
Yeah.
Because as human beings, we want to put form to something. So it has to look like this. All right? So, this is the way we market. This is the way it looks like. But if you get back to what has not changed over hundreds of years is why we need to market our business. Is the function of marketing. Is to get people to understand that how we can help them and serve them and make their lives better by working with what we do. That hasn't changed.
No,
never.
At all. Still connection. It's
right.
just,
But the form of how we do that can and will change. But most businesses are built on the form, not the function. So if you get back to the grassroots of why your business exists as a marketing agency or however you want to classify yourself, stay focused on that function and allow the form to reveal itself with all the changes in the uncertainty, and be forward thinking about what the future needs of your customers are. That's the shift that needs to happen. Let go of the form, get back to function. If you, I use this in some of my keynote presentations, is how do you listen to music today?
a lot differently to the way I used to.
Right.
How do I?
Yeah.
Spotify.
Spotify, okay. Do you still listen to music for the same reasons that you listen to music? Soothe your mood, meditation, party, right? That hasn't changed, but how and what you listen to has. So, the iPod celebrated its 16th birthday in October last year.
Crazy, hey?
Yeah, and nobody listens to it on an iPod anymore,
No.
or very few. It's either Spotify or it's whatever, right? So how and what we listen to has changed, but why we choose to listen to music has never changed.
Exactly.
Soothe the human soul, whatever it is, so business-wise, it's the same concept. Why you do what you do, and if you focus more on that, which is the problem you're there to solve for people, and then allow that to reveal itself, and you do your future trends and thinking what's happening, technologies, looking at different industries, what are they doing, how they're doing it, absolutely all that, but don't get locked on the form. But that's what we do. And once again, form is business model, function is model business.
Yeah.
And that's what the space that I love working with people on, is to get them back to the, why your business exists, because then it can take many hows and many whats, and you're not locked into this thinking that this is how we do business around here. This is why we do business here, to help these people. If your business isn't there to serve someone, or your purpose isn't there to serve a customer, which is customer centric, then it's not your purpose. So if you get more in tune, the more you get in tune with that, the more options you have.
Yeah.
But if you just focus on how I do it, or what is my form, you're very limited.
And I think that's where a lot of people get caught up. And I'll use the marketing example.
Yeah.
I mean, all anyone really wants to hear about typically is form, and they're just like, they want to know a tactic or a hack or they don't want to get into the fundamentals of why or what you're doing or communicating. They want to talk about this platform or that platform. None of it matters.
No.
It's what you're trying to achieve. So, which is why when we talk about like creating content, well, that should be timeless. Now, you might want that content that might shift from paper form to audio form to video form. It's like a song, but you're right, the same song. Or if you go back, you can listen to Elvis on a record. a tape, a CD, whatever those things were in the middle.
8 tracks.
8 tracks. All the way through to iPod and it's still going because it's just technology change. But still, you're right, the same output.
Yeah. So I would challenge for you then is don't allow your customers' desire for form to box you into form. Because this is what I find, they just want to know how. Well, that's maybe because you haven't got deep enough on their why. So all they can do is okay, well, tell me what it looks like at least.
Yeah.
Because there's no emotional connection.
Yeah.
So then the logic kicks in and says, well, show me what it looks like. Because then they're trying to, nobody buys on logic, they buy on emotion, and we rationalize with logic afterwards. So, if you ever built a house?
Yes.
Okay, so did you ask what hammer they're going to use, what chisels, what saws, what wood, inside what cement mix they were? You didn't.
No, you don't.
They sold you on the dream of your dream home, and sitting in the front of this lounge and watching the sun cascade through the window as you're reading your book, and that's what they got you on. That you didn't ask for all that other stuff.
Yeah.
So why do you allow your customers to ask that? Well, that's probably because it's our fault that we haven't got deep enough, so they don't need to ask. You haven't got it in their head so clear that this is what's going to happen. They won't bother. How are you going to do that?
Yeah, I just think that's the default space in the market in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
That's sort of that's what they want to consume. They they want to just talk about that form, but they're not thinking about that deeper, lower level or higher level, however you put it, that the purpose and why they're doing that in the first place. But so I guess on that point, the mechanic always has the broken down car.
Yeah, absolutely. Cobbler's children have the worst shoes.
Yeah, I'm sure there's 100 different ways to put it, but no doubt you've been through some challenges in your business life yourself. I mean, what's something that you might be willing to share as an? Because I think it's always nice to break down some of these barriers sometimes, because it's easy. Dave does leadership. Dave's amazing at leadership. Dave's always been amazing at leadership, right? So,
but do you think that there isn't my greatest failures? Yeah, it's funny when there's a couple of key points in my life that I always reflect on as lessons. I call them failures because I actually learned from them. Yeah. Right? And one of the most significant ones for me is when I actually first went back to Canada and I started with this leadership organization. There's nothing more challenging for your ego when you can do anything, you can work. I talked to the managing director of one of the largest banks in West Australia, and and all of a sudden you're out on your own, and then you're knocking on the doors of presidents and CEOs of companies with BMWs and Mercedes in the driveway, and you're driving up in your shitty old Ford Laser because you've sold everything you have to invest in this business, and you're going to go there and help them get more successful. Humble beginnings, and so for me, I lived with my cousin when we first started the business and everything like that. We're a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, and we were all living in that. And to him and his family, I owe an immense amount of gratitude I could never repay. But they turned their laundry room into my office for me. So I sat on the deep freezer, had my phone fax machine. This is a long back. On the washing machine, and my business directory and the highlighter. Yeah. Back in the old days, it didn't have much internet going on then. Yep. And the laundry was the access way to the home daycare because they had a home daycare there. So I had kids running through so that's how I started, right? So I'm very humble beginnings. And then we finally decided we would take the risk and move into our own place. And my first office, and I got a great photo up on my Instagram feed of it, was this 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom basement apartment under a tanning salon, right? So, but the cool part of this building was it was
free tanning.
Yeah, free tanning. The radiation, it was phenomenal. But there was that, and then above that tanning salon there was 2 other apartments. But the cistern for the whole building, the main waste pipe, that whole building came through the little storeroom which I used in my office and went right across the top of my desk. So anytime somebody used the toilet, you would hear this right through the. And I would say this is my feng shui water feature, right?
On so the phone.
Yeah, it's just my water feature. Just there making calls. Got to know people's patterns, so I know when to make calls and not make calls. Yeah, but anyway, so in that space though, in that time when we took that extra layer of risk and took on that extra expense, I still hadn't made a sale. Right, and so here I am only one person, moved in, added an extra rental expense, all this sort of stuff, had to pay for car fuels, everything like that, going all these network events to get myself out there, and I think we were it was October 1999, and there I am sitting on the floor in my kid's bedroom. Both of them were asleep in the room they had to share, and thinking I've got enough money to cover next month's rent, and that's it. And I haven't made a sale yet. And literally, it was one of my darkest but most powerful moments where I sat there, and literally I just sat on the floor. They're both asleep. It was probably like just after midnight. Bawled my eyes out on the floor, emotional just thinking about it, and just sat there and virtually cried and said, what have I done to my family? What have I done to my children? And I just I got to go get a job. I've failed. This is not going to work, blah, blah, blah. And then just as I was about to get up and like, that's it, bugger this, going to go find a job. As I was just about to get up, I thought, what am I actually teaching my kids if I give up? Because it got hard. So instead of actually giving up, why don't I ask more of myself and demand a higher standard of myself to be better? And I have to obviously do something different, because if I do what I've always done, give what you've always gotten, I wasn't liking the results I was getting, but I was doing the same thing over and over. And I thought, bugger this. No, you've got 4 weeks to make something happen, because you're not going to show your kids that when things get tough, you give up. And that was like the lowest point, but also my highest point, because within 4 weeks, I'd made my first sale, had money to cover the next rent. Then I made a whole bunch more sales after that. And I think the following year, not that my first 12 months, my second 12 months in the business, I was sales leader for Canada. Because I developed and what I did actually is I sat down and developed my own sales process. I just couldn't do it the way they were telling me to do it. Right? So just do this, they say, just practice, do this over and over, the cookie cutter. It just wasn't me. So I had to find my own, so I developed my own sales process actually called Relax. My mentor, what she says, Dave, you need to relax more. You're too stressed, you need to relax. So I wrote down the word relax and said, okay, I'm going to relax. So what does R mean? What does E mean? And developed this sales process, and then I ended up adding E and D, so I'm relaxed. So I have this relaxed selling process that I did, and I used it for that next 12 months and became a sales leader. And then I ended up teaching that to a lot of the other licensees on how to go out and chill.
Wow, what a story.
So that was one of them. And I've been close to bankruptcy twice. So, you don't, they always show those pictures of entrepreneurs, and it's not this nice straight upward line. It's always up and down, like, I should give up. And
it's just true. An exponential line. It goes straight up.
It is so true. But that to me was my most significant time. I say, even just reflecting on it now, I remember it vividly. It was that important in my life.
It's like a muscle too, right?
Yeah.
Because the thing is, you've been down there. Like the second time you got down there, you would have reflected on the first time, knowing that it can pass, you can work through it. But so how do you tackle that? You've got a month to make some money. Really, all it does in a lot of ways is add more stress to you. Like, on the top of your mind. I mean, you've got the children, you've got them to use as your, I guess, your why as well. But how do you? What did you change? Like you said, if I kept doing what I was doing, I was going to get the same result. Like, what did you change, and how were you able to make that shift?
Right. So to me it was like, okay, I went deeper into who I needed to become. Getting back to the same principle that was in the beginning, that is, I sat down like, who do I need to be to have the results that I want to have? And then how would I behave? And this is where I took a process that I learned, this success results behavior, and turned it into be, have, and behave. If you look at the word behave, split it in half, be and have. So I said, okay, here's the results I want to have. Who would I need to be to have those results? And how would that person behave? Instead of behaving like the person I was, I started behaving like the person I needed to be. And that person would be, selling like this. This person would be practicing and rehearsing and doing all this and writing this down, and would be learning. So I just started acting in accordance with that person I needed to become. And this is where, at that time, as that shift, this is why it was so important to me, is because it's the saying, fake it till you make it. Like, and I get in shit for this all the time. As I say, if someone tells you fake it till you make it, run far away from that person as you can, because you don't need to fake anything. If you're very clear about who you need to be to have what you want to have and what the behaviors you need to do, just start acting in accordance with that, and you will become that person. So it's acting as if that's already true, and that's not faking it. And so that's what I went through. And so I sat down, how would the sales leader, the person here, and for me, not from a sales point of view, if I wanted to help as many people as I wanted to help, what kind of person would I be? And then how would that person behave? And then I'd have all the things that I want to have. And that's it. So that's why I work with people. You need to have what you want to have, and then how would that person behave?
But is that just a flick of the switch? Like, can you flick that switch that hard, or is there a lot of relapse?
Well, I tell you, once
there?
people get to the place where you avoid a loss or gain a benefit, the loss was very imminent for me, and so I took significant action.
Yeah, okay.
Was it easy? Did I fall off the wagon a couple times? Yeah, no, but I had it all written down, documented for me. And then when I developed the sales process, I practiced and rehearsed and rehearsed and rehearsed, and had conversations and went out and did and learned. And I made notes of what it didn't work when I said this, what happened. Yeah, and did it a few times like, oh crap, have I fallen back into old patterns? Yeah, because it's human behavior. Like, I'm not immune from this because I do it for a living. And Tony Robbins, do you think Tony Robbins doesn't make mistakes or doesn't?
Oh, I'm sure he makes many.
Yeah, but you just don't see them.
No, you don't see anything of him.
No, that's right.
He's actually very good at that. You can't get behind that curtain.
No.
Many others you can. But.
Yeah, and then you let you behind the curtain. It's a controlled curtain.
Yeah. Yeah,
this is what I want you to see.
Yeah.
And he's a human being. And we talked about this briefly before on air. Like, one thing I tell my kids is be very careful who your heroes are or your role models, because they're all human. And they all put their pants on the same way that you do. They all make mistakes. They're all fallible. Just look at all the Tiger Woods of the world and the Lance Armstrongs. These people we put as heroes, they all make mistakes.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well,
but anyway, so that to me, that was the big change.
Yeah, that's
my lessons for people. That is like, it's just so true. Do what you always do, get what you always gotten. So if you want a new result and you do the same things, you're nuts, right? Definition of insanity. So start with understanding. If you want to start with what you want to have in life, and then say, okay, well, I don't have that right now. So clearly, I'm not doing the things I need to do to have that. So then I'm not being the person I need to be to do those things.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how simple it is. Be, have, behave.
Love it. All right, I'm going to change gears a little bit.
Let's go.
We could get down that rabbit hole. How do you, not how do you, tell me something about you outside of your work, something else that makes Dave Clare tick.
I'm a shit golfer.
You're a shit
But
I enjoy being the shit golfer?
No, I don't enjoy it, but I love my golf.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not sure what how much you want in there, but outside of all the stuff I do, I have a sheer joy for life. Like, I love to make. Actually, my Facebook profile, my personal profile says idiot savant, right? So part savant, part idiot, right? And I love it, laugh and a joke. Sarcasm is the lowest form of wit, and I'm probably the lowest form of comedian. But I love that. I have just a sheer joy for life. Doesn't mean my life's always perfect, but I love to go dance. With the wife and I, we love dancing. We both love golfing, just going out and do stuff like that. It's just, to me, you need to have some of that. The challenge for me as Dave Clare, I have high expectations on myself, and my expectations probably exceed my abilities, especially when it comes to golf.
Golf can be tough when you're not feeling it, right?
Yeah. And, because my mind is so active, I don't know any golfers out there, whatever, but I think when you have a clear mind, it's a lot easier to golf. But when I've got so many things going on in my head, the days I've played the best is when I've just nothing. And you just go out and you play the best round of golf ever, and you're like, I wasn't thinking about anything. But most times my brain is excessively active.
I know the feeling.
Yeah,
I have that problem. I'll get beaten by, I don't get out that much, but I'll get beaten easily by a mate who I should be able to beat, and I can beat. And often what is going on and what deal or whatever I'm focusing on is usually the reason or the focus, and that that really does detract from the game. But you hit that sweet shot every now and then. And
the tuning fork goes off.
Brings you back, right?
Yeah, but I think golf is a really cool sport in terms of, like people say, oh, you're so competitive. Yes, I am against myself, because I know what I'm capable of. I played golf for many years now, and I've had some really awesome rounds. I know what I'm capable of. So it's not that you beat me; it's I beat myself in a bad way, because I didn't actually perform at the level I know I'm capable of. I didn't have the mental toughness for that round to stay focused on the things I needed to stay focused on. And it's a great, humbling sport.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. So, I think that's why I love golf so much, because it drives me nuts, right? But it's only because it challenges me to be the best I can be. I don't put the hours in the range I would need to, but it's like anything. If you don't put in the practice, if I sit there and pounded balls at the range and did all the stuff and chipping and the putting, I'd probably be a lot better than I am. But yeah, it's.
Is that do you do it regularly? Is that what you do to keep sort of healthy and sane, or do you have other practices, other things that you do? Do you work out? I mean, what do you?
I I like to double dip on my mental and physical development. So like I like to go cycling and then I listen to audiobooks at the same time.
Yeah.
So I get my physical and mental. You know, I'm not one to sit there and read too many books. What I do is I listen to a lot of them, and if I like the book, I'll go and get the paperback or the hardback version of it. But I just constantly need input, right? And I love to listen to that. So when I go for bike rides, put on the Bluetooth earbuds and then listen to audiobooks. So I double up in that. You know, probably my personal health would be one of the things I haven't focused anywhere near as much as I should in the earlier years. But once again, it wasn't something I was conditioned in my family. It wasn't, you know, we all mucked about in sports and stuff, but we weren't hardcore into anything like that or health or nutrition. And so obviously as I get it later in life now, it's become more important to me. So yeah, I've made some efforts in there. Not a big weightlifter and all that sort of stuff, but I don't mind it. You know, I love good physical work. Like I'd rather go out and, you know, work, you know, moving furniture. We just moved house, so I thought, bugger, I'm gonna do it myself because I like the physical work. Body doesn't like it so much anymore.
No, body doesn't like those kind of weird twisting and turning things. But
so the wife, you know what? I think my moving days are over. I'm almost 52 years old, and I'm like, you know what? It's just not what it used to be. I mean, I used to play a bit of ball hockey and a bit of ice hockey back in Canada, but now golf's one of the only sports I can continue to play. Yeah. Although I've aches and pains after that, but bike riding I really enjoy. It's my Zen moment. You know, I find it challenging for me. Meditation. I know a lot of guys do it and all that sort of stuff, and people out there. To me, it's just been one of those things that, I see the benefits that other people get from it, but I just don't know. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't. To me, it's something I struggle with. So my Zen moment is going for a ride on my bike, nothing but, you know, my mind's not thinking, it's absorbing and listening. That's a Zen moment for me.
Yeah, no, I think you know, exercise can be very much like I've been a runner for a lot of my life.
Yeah, and I don't have the knees for that. Yeah.
No, I don't have the knees for it now either. But like, which is what I miss because you know, even when I was younger or like quite young, running would be where I would make a decision, ponder something. You know, that would be that time to just sort of like float along and be somewhat meditative in practice, or mindful, I should say, in practice and that. But take that away and you need something else. Yeah. But
you know, and I've certainly found, especially last year, I did a lot of speaking gigs, a lot of traveling. And the more I increased my physical activity, the better I performed anyway. And so I certainly see the connection in that. And that's why for me, just, you know, regular, it's all about routine, right? So much what I do, but just getting in the habit of doing it. It's like anything, right? It's first you form your habits, then your habits form you. So for me, it's just getting in the habit of that regular routine. So for me, bike riding, so to combine the two things, sitting there and just listening to a book.
No.
Or reading a book, no. Just going for a bike ride and not doing anything, no. Put the two together, awesome.
That's what makes audio so good. Yeah. You know, to be able to do something.
Listen to a great podcast, you know, if you want to listen, like Amplify, put that on your...
Yeah, that's right.
Said, you know,
just give us a plug, perfect. That's right.
Great podcast to listen to.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but there are certain podcasts, like that is great. And I think that's the beauty of podcasts. And I think this is why podcasts have gotten tremendous popularity now. Because time, you know, people driving in their car, riding their bikes, going for their walks, it's something they can do at the same time.
Yeah.
To watch a video, whatever, you're going to run into something, but to listen to, you know, a really great podcast or whatever that, you know, that adds value to your life or entertains you or gives you great information, I think that's where the rise of the popularity of audio has come in.
Yeah, definitely. So do you listen to a lot of content then? Like who do you enjoy listening to, or what do you get into? What podcasts?
Yeah, so a couple of my buddies actually have, so Think Bold, Be Bold, Chris Cumby and Alan Witch over in the US, which I've featured on twice, but I love their stuff. It's entrepreneurial. Yeah. You know,
so sorry, Be Bold?
Think Bold, Be Bold.
Think Bold, Be Bold.
Yeah.
To check it out.
Yeah, I think it's based on, you know, Peter Diamandis' you know, bold thinking, bold theories.
Yep.
So this podcast is all that. Really great. So yeah, that. And there's a positive productivity one that Kim Sutton does, which I really enjoy. Most of my podcasts that I do listen to are pretty much around business, leadership, and stuff like that. I love to hear other people's perspectives and ideas. Obviously, the Simple Minds. I started listening to that, which was very entertaining with multiple people, and that's a fascinating podcast. And but most of my listening is audiobooks. And recommendations for people. I love to understand how other people think and other people's perspective, and listening to ones that challenge my own thinking. Like I don't listen to things that just say, "Hey, yeah, I'm right. They agree with me," or "Hey, I agree with them." I like to listen to ones that do challenge my thinking as well, because I think that's really important in the learning process. It's just like having a bunch of people who just say, "Yeah, you're great," is wonderful, but having somebody who can turn around and say, "Yeah, but how about this and what about that?"
And a lot of the values in the storytelling, right? And a lot of books will have a portion of everyone's personal journey in there. And I don't know. I certainly find that a lot of learnings can be extracted from even that aspect when they're talking through the journey, and then there's always the other key points or some of the learnings they're looking to put forward in the book. But often there's a lot of value in both.
Yeah, and certainly, and that's why I love Gary Vee stuff. I do watch or listen to a lot of that. Even Grant Cardone, as much as I don't like a lot of his stuff.
I'm the same with him. I don't mind him in hearing him sometimes. Yeah. But there's a lot of stuff that I wouldn't necessarily agree with, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The hard sell and all that is just not in line with my relaxed selling process. But and he's done very well with it, and it does suit a lot of people in certain industries, and that's fine. But I like to listen to it still every now and again, and some of the stuff that he does. And a lot of marketing guys and stuff like that out there, love looking at some of their content. Just to challenge and learn what's going on, and to stay abreast of things. Business Insider, certain blog. I do a lot of just blog reading because it's short and quick.
Yep.
Just boom, get in there. I love the shorter, the more punchier the blogs, the better.
Yep.
Seth Godin's stuff is, he's always short and to the point, which do enjoy that.
Yep.
There's a lot of great content out there, but to me, it's like anything. I don't know if you find this, Matt, leaders are readers, so a lot of people do a lot of reading, but I find a lot of people just keep reading.
Same thing.
Well, no, I think they read too many different things.
All right.
Like I'm a firm believer, if you read a really good book, how many times do you read that book again? I think if you find a book that you really like that resonates with you, you should read that 3, 4, 5, or listen to it 4, 5, 6 times, because it's spaced repetition again for it to start to sink in, and for osmosis in your mind to take place, and for you to become part of your own thinking, that process.
Yeah.
So I find a really good book. And I'll read it over and over again.
Yeah.
Let's say I'll listen to it over and over again. Like when I first listened to Crush It, I must have listened to that 6 times in a row. Just had a bike, just kept playing it over and over and over, so I could really understand those principles of social media and stuff that how he did what he did. But if you find a good book, that's it.
Because you can feel it, especially listening. I love to listen to them, but I know I don't. That means I don't take notes because I'm usually doing something active, which means I can't, or I'm driving somewhere. But you've got to come back to it within a time frame. I feel like or reread it. I mean, if it's a good enough one, sometimes they're just stories, and that's okay. The storytelling bit you don't need to necessarily go through again. But there's a lot of books like that I think, you know it at the time, but you don't take out or extract that knowledge or reread it or listen to it to actually go and be able to fully implement that learning. And you can get caught just reading, and not actually pulling anything out, just enjoying the process of that reading, I suppose.
So what are 2 books that you would have with you all the time?
2 books that I would have with me all the time.
Your go-to 2 books.
God, that's a pretty good question.
Sorry, I'm flipping it on you now.
Yeah, no.
I'd like to introduce my guest, Matt.
I have them in for different in different phases. I mean, I've talked. The Alchemist is obviously a big one for me. It sits there right on my shelf. That's a huge book. There's probably a lot of books that I've come back to many times. Another big book would be Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek, but I've sort of moved past that. The Ask Gary Vee book, the Ask Gary Vee one's a one that I listened to several times over. And generally, I would say Gary Vee's content is much what he's putting out the last year or two is very much about what's in that book. And I am constantly putting that in repetition in my mind because there's a lot of little things that I've learned out of that, and I'm wanting to make sure that I focus on it. So they're the big ones. So Alchemist is more of the mindset. Certainly one of my go-to books. I've gifted it many times, and Ask Gary Vee I've gifted a bunch of times as well. I think I've only got 2 copies left up there, so that means a good few of them are gone. So they're probably
a great thing.
Too.
Gifting books is awesome because, like you say, if I get a book and I love it and I think it's valuable to someone else, always write in a book. I don't receive, if someone gives me a book, I won't accept it unless they've written a note into why they want to give it to me. So then I always have memory and then highlight, make my notes.
You
and
won't
then,
accept it.
No, I won't. I just, it's the thing, please tell me why you want, and write it in the book so I can go, this is why. And then And then I may re-gift that book to somebody else later on. I'll write why I'm giving it to them and pass it on.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But I have two books that, for me, that I always have in my bookshelf or whatever, even if I give them away, I go get them again. One is Reimagined by Tom Peters.
Yeah, okay.
An old book. It's like 2001, but it was the book that changed the way I look at the world in terms of business and this whole function versus form and that kind of concept, which is, you should always be reimagining your business, how you do your business. Why won't change, but reimagining that. And the other one is Love Marks. Now, I want to say it's Robert, whatever the guy was the head of Saatchi & Saatchi, but it was all about branding. It was the first introduction to me in branding. And the message that I always take out of that is, whenever your business is, you want to create mystery, intimacy, and sensuality. So make it a bit engaging in terms of mystery. Intimacy isn't from a sexual connotation, but it's making your business about, like, they feel that it's your, if you're my customer, I exist just for you. Like, this is an intimate relationship we have in terms of our business is your business. You're our only customer. It gets back to what I call the Jerry Maguire effect. Yeah. So when Rod Tidwell, Cuba Gooding Jr. was Tom Cruise's the agent's only customer, but he treated him like he was the only customer, and then that's how he built his business. Right? And so that everybody else, the other one, go, well, how come we don't have that relationship? And then, right? So making everyone feel that intimacy, and then the sensuality, get as many of the senses involved in the relationship with your clients that you can.
That's awesome. The two books I haven't read. So
yeah. So and it's, for you guys as a marketing, I would, if you're helping businesses, get that connection in the marketplace. And just very quickly, I'll segue that. So culture is how you think and feel about your business. Brand is how the customers think and feel about your business. Yeah. And your job as leaders to make those two things match. So you're marketing that. So understanding the organization's purpose, values, and visions, and creating that in place so people want. So how to create the mystery, intimacy, and sensuality in that context. And that's what those two books to me, those two messages. That's awesome. Why those, and I love The Alchemist too. I mean, I would be in my top 5, no question. And that's about the personal journey.
We all have our own different book, that's and different at different times. I could say something different. I mean, The Alchemist has been there for a while for me. The Gary Vee one is important from what I've been doing the last couple of years. That does change, and
when the student's ready, the master appears. And if you allow it to appear in whatever form, whether it be book, audio, coach, whatever it is, customer who teaches you a lesson, but those are my two go-tos that I always.
Yeah, cool. I'll definitely check them out. That's really cool. All right, a couple of just quick questions, and then we can move you on because I know you're a busy man. But,
yes.
What's your favorite Disney movie?
Favorite Disney movie? Great question. I'm going to go, and I'm pretty sure it's Disney. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that for a long time.
Well, it's one of those movies to me, like I always, every now and again, just comes to my head, it's like, why haven't they made a remake of that? I think that would be the coolest.
That would be a good remake.
Yeah. And sometimes I throw that as a question to the party. Who would you cast in all the lead characters in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang? So so to me, I don't think it was Warner. I'm pretty sure it was a Disney movie way back in the States. And most people go to the animated. Yeah. But to me, because I'm old, I got Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Yeah, no, it's cool. No, I like the question because it just sort of interesting to see what type of character someone picks, because they'll often pick like a hero that they feel like they relate to or otherwise.
I'm sure Conrad would probably say, Moana or something like that.
Well, not Moana. I think he's Maui, but So, but no, that's actually quite interesting. I mean, they do remake stuff over and over again. Yeah. But they haven't gone and pulled that one out.
Yeah, I mean, there's just Beauty and the Beast and all those sort of things.
Yeah, I mean, that's been done like 3-4 times.
Yeah, easy, but never Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Yeah, very interesting.
And I think today, it would be very cool to see how they could remake that.
I think it'd be very cool to just go and watch it, actually, to be honest, and just see. I can't really remember what it. In any depth, it'd be good. Sometimes it's good to go watch an old film.
Yeah, well, tell anyone out there, let's go get Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, go watch it again, and then you tell me who you think you would cast in those roles. Yeah, Dick Van Dyke was the lead character back in the day. Yes, so
Van Dyke.
Yeah,
right, cool. Yeah. All right, what's one weird app or interesting app that you have on your home screen?
On my home screen, like on my phone?
Yeah, what's something you use? That might be a cool hack that someone hasn't heard of.
Yeah, weird app that I have on my the Zippo app.
Zippo, okay, good.
The Zippo lighter.
Oh, Zippo lighter.
Yeah.
What do you mean? What does it do?
It's quite. Won't be able to do this visually, of course, but the Zippo. Oh, there it is, right on the homepage. There it's there. So the Zippo lighter app. It's actually you just which way to go. This is really great for audio. There you go. It opens up and It's really good for rock concerts when you need to do the, waving the lighter and you don't have it instead of putting your phone up.
And I like that yours has purpose written on it.
Yeah, and it's my color. So so that would be it. And sometimes I like it, have a cigar, and when I know it's almost out, I'll just open the Zippo app and I'll make it look like I'm actually relighting my cigar with the Zippo app. People are like, does it do that? Yeah, so that
no, it doesn't.
Yeah, as a matter of fact,
it's a good novelty.
Yeah, but anyway, so that would
Cool.
be the answer to that question.
And that's purely a branding exercise, I guess.
Yeah, it's got purpose written on it, and I think, and it's always a good,
Awesome.
Yeah,
Cool.
like they've got a cigarette lighter app. Like, yeah, absolutely.
So I just usually finish off with this one question,
Yeah.
and I'll ask you this, and then I'd just love you to quickly just let us know a little bit more about where people can find you and about your book, which is coming out as well. So we'd love to talk on that. But my typical final question here is, what's the one thing that people can do to amplify their business? So just what's one thing that they can make a change on to start to make change?
Yep. So this might actually surprise you, but get more in touch with your purpose.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, no.
So how do they do it?
Okay, well, it's, and people are like, I started the business because I could make money doing it. Mm-hmm. But, you can make money doing anything. Mm. Go back to why you actually chose that business to make money. Mm. Some people just fell into what they're doing, and I totally understand that. But, I think the more you can get in tune with why you do what you do or why you started that business in the first place, what problem were you looking to solve for people, and get back in tune with that, will open up a whole bunch of opportunities for your business that you can't see because you're locked onto form, because you're looking at it like this already. Yeah. And one of my Clarisms, which is, isness is the death of your business, right? So it's just the way it is around here. This is the way we've always done it, right? It's the same kind of concept. This is the form of this is what we do. No, why do you do what you do? And that will allow many, many ways to go for it. So as a business leader, owner out there, go back and go, hang on, let's just get really clear on this. And if you can't articulate why you do what you do in 10 words or less, and it doesn't impact people, you're not there yet. Yeah. But once you get there and you understand that, that's what should get you out of bed in the morning. Because most people think about all the things that keep them up at night. I'd rather think about what gets me out of bed in the morning. The ability to go and do this. And for me, it's, my purpose is to help people become the prophet of their purpose so they can profit from their purpose. Yeah. So the more you became, and a prophet is articulated in terms of from dictionary definition, is the inspired teacher, leader of a cause or calling a movement. Yep. And as the leader of your business, if you are not that, then who the hell is?
No one.
Right. So you should be up there, singing the praise of why we do what we do all day long and help people get connected to that. Because I really believe that people want their lives to be more meaningful. So give them work that is meaningful. Right? So that, now I understand why my job is important because it has an impact to this. So for me, the best thing any organization can do is get really clear and in tune with that because everything gets connected to that. And then you watch the creativity and the innovation soar from your business when you start allowing people to think, how do we solve this problem for people? This is how we solve it today. How would we solve it tomorrow? How would we solve it the day after? We just, all these new technology and all these changes we've talked about, that will change all that. But the problem will always exist.
Yeah, really could. So I guess, practical steps, how do they do that? You just don't,
give me a call.
No, give you a call. Do they go and journal on it? What's one little practical tip that you can say to how to make something happen?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so this could be just for yourself in person if you're not sure what your purpose is or understanding is, or your business. I don't think you should have to create your purpose. Your purpose already exists. You kind of need to just rediscover it. Yeah. It's like the sculptor with the clay. They don't sculpt a statue. The statue's already in there. They remove all the clay and the gunk to reveal what they already saw inside the business. Yeah. So pretty much the same concept. But a very simple exercise I work with leaders on, or even individuals who can do the same thing, is make a list of all the things you're passionate about, the things that get you excited or jazzed about in terms of the things that you're best at or whatever it is that make your heart sing, whatever words you want to use, and then make a list of all the problems you see in your world. Yeah. When I say the world, because people say, your vision for the world, I say the world or your part of it. It could be your industry, it could be your demographic, it could be your geographic. I don't care. Yeah. Make a list of all the problems that you see, and somewhere where those two, like a Venn diagram, where those two things overlap, in the middle there where you'll find your purpose. I love doing this, and this is a big problem, but if I did this, that would solve that problem. Right in the middle of that is most likely some sense of purpose. And Then you can say, well, then how could I help people do that and add value to them? So in turn, I would receive value. Because I think it's important to make a difference than make a dollar. Most people just work out how to make a dollar, and when you're worried about how to make a dollar, you can get money and lose it just as quick. But when you're making a difference...
Well, it's hard to get up in the morning, right?
Yeah.
As well.
Like we said, you don't get up there and go, oh, I can't wait to make money today. Like that's, as great as it sounds to have money, it's very unfulfilling.
Yeah.
So to me, the simple thing is make one list of all the things that you're either your business does well or that you personally do well or that you love that gets you jazzed. And this is how I found mine, is when I said, I love working with leaders and getting some sense of clarity as to why they started the business. It gets me so excited when I get to do that with people. Then look at all the problems. We have so many unhappy people in the workplace that are miserable, unhappy. And what happens with that? They go home and they take it on their families. We've got this downward spiral going on. And I said, well, if I actually love doing that, and this is one of the biggest problems, if I helped them do that, that would resolve all those problems. We'd actually have people coming to work and enjoying what they're doing. Even if it's just slightly more than what they were, that starts the upward cycle.
Still a win, right? Still momentum in the right direction.
And whether they stay in that job forever or not is irrelevant. It's like if they're having greater sense of meaning about what they're doing, they'll take that home. I feel a little bit better about myself now. And I don't care if you're a baby boomer or a Gen X like me or a millennial or a Gen Z. Everyone's searching for meaning in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's my legacy or it's I just want to do shit that I love, or for work-life balance. But I don't care. You're all searching for meaning. We all are. So we can help clarify some meaning of why we're at this business, and then help connect them to it. You're going to give them that little boost.
Yeah.
And if it's like a pebble in the pond, starts the ripples. So that's it. Those two lists. Look where they cross over. And somewhere in there, you'll find your purpose.
Love it. Such good advice. Dave, thank you so much for coming in.
My pleasure.
I could literally probably ask you another 2.5 hours worth of questions. I scratched the surface, but I know you've got somewhere to be. But look, really enjoyed chatting. And
thank you.
I think there's a lot of value in that for people. And so where can they find out about you? And the new book, which will be released in the next quarter, is Simplified.
Yep.
You can download the first chapter on your website.
Yep.
So where can people hook you up?
Yeah, so really complicated. DaveClare.com, DaveClare.com. That's my page. You can go there and get the first chapter, which is actually, I think it's the intro and chapter 1 you can get in there. So go get that. So that's the best place. Simplified is my philosophy on leadership. I think leadership is simple. You lead people. I think we've gotten away. Most of what we call leadership today is just modern management. And I think we need to get back to the grassroots. Leadership is about helping people become the best versions of themselves while they're in your care and potentially afterwards, because the impact you'll have on them.
Yep.
And the more you help people become the best that they can be, how much capacity do they have to do a better job while they're with you? And so to me, Simplified is all about getting back to that. It's what I call like based on the Pareto principle or the 80-20 rule, is I'm going to share with you 20% of the things you need to do that would produce 80% of the results. Yeah. There's a whole bunch of other stuff you could do from leadership, and there's a whole bunch of great books about that. I'm just taking it right down to the high path activities. You do these things well, you'll get 80% of the results. And that's a huge leap from what a lot of people might already be doing. So you can get that there. Of course, social media, Instagram, Profit, so with the PH, not the FIT, for FOR purpose. And on unfortunately, because I couldn't get that on my Twitter, it's with the number 4. But if you go Profit for Purpose, you're bound to find me. He'll pop up. Yeah, and you know what? My mission is to create and inspire 90 million purpose-driven leaders around the world. So, and that's myself or others is a big goal. That's my legacy, if you like. Anybody out there that I can help or get some, much like most people, I put a bunch of free content. It's yours, take it. I give what I call the primary education away for free. Yeah. If you want tertiary or you want the university degree, then we can talk about that. But I just give it away for free.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Love it. Thank you so much.
No, my pleasure, Matt. Thanks for the opportunity to be here.
No worries.
Yeah.
Look forward to doing it again, Dave.
Yeah, we will, I'm sure.
Hey guys, Matt Hanham here, and I really hope you enjoyed that episode of the Amplify Your Business podcast. I hope you got some awesome value out of the experience, and I'd love to hear comments below, or if you want to share it with your friends, that'd be great too.